And good morning and welcome to the VSA Capital 5 Minute Morning Miner. It's Wednesday, the 16th of November, and I'm back from what was sunny Cornwall. Actually, I must confess, I drove back in torrential rain on the M4 and M5 yesterday, and it's still raining this morning when I cycled in. So why didn't I just stay in nice Cornwall? Crazy. Anyway, there you go. Got to come back and do some work, I guess. Not these are easy markets to do work in. But anyway, good morning, Paul.
Yes, it is, and it is a rainy morning.
Yeah, it is. Right, let's kick off into some news. The one I want to start with today, a VSA client, one that I'm particularly keen on, Tectonic Gold. They've had a lot of trouble with rain in Queensland. It has literally rained throughout their summer, but the rain has stopped. The sun is out. There's some beautiful pictures in their RNS today. It's great now that you can put pictures in an RNS. But Paul, they've started drilling again, haven't they?
That's right. They have remobilized back to the Goldsmiths Reef location here on their Specimen Hill project in Queensland. The rain has cleared from the northeast of Australia and is now down in the southeast, down there around Sydney, New South Wales, and so forth. They've got 350-meter deep diamond core hole to be completed there, and that's to be below the historic mine to demonstrate its continuity of the mineralization down there. And the target zone, they realize, is at a depth beyond 200 meters, so that's why it's as long a hole as it is. And I think it'll take about 2 weeks in order to complete that hole. And they are going to be one of the presenters at our Aquis Investor Showcase, sponsored by VSA Capital, on the 29th.
Oh, I love the way you promoted that, Paul. Very good. But I mean, I think the point is that obviously with this Tectonic, what they're really just simply trying to do is prove up actually a very interesting gold and copper porphyry, isn't it, in the IRGS system and on the Pacific, on the Ring of Fire. And then hopefully, a big partner will come in and actually develop it. And they walk off with basically a very valuable prize. And of course, they've got the wellhead over in South Africa. There's a lot going on here. Unfortunately, at the moment, people aren't really looking at it. So I think it's not being noticed, which is why it's important that we do point it out to people.
Yes, that's right. They have a lot going on, and it's just a question now of keeping eyes on your story as far as the small cap companies are concerned.
Yeah, that's always look for things that people aren't looking at, because then you're more likely to find value. If everybody's looking at it, it's harder to find value. I'm not saying this negatively at all, but Atlantic Lithium, everybody is looking at it at the moment. All the news is out there, and so you just wonder, well, what can take it further? Now, clearly, it's a great project. So I'm not being negative on it at all. We're actually very positive, but it's just, you've got to look at that comparison of what knowledge is out there in the market. It's stock prices are all about what the different views of all the investors are. Anyway, don't get me going on that. This is a 5-minute morning miner. Anyway, what else do you want to talk about, Paul?
Well, I wanted to continue on that theme here because I have two companies, but neither of them is UK quoted that are that kind of a situation that had news out today. First of all, we have ASX listed Carnaby Resources. They have in drilling 8% copper here in their Mount Hope Central zone here, which is a tremendous assay, just part of a hole that had 4 different long intervals of high-grade copper with the subsidiary gold there in the Mount Isa district. And just want to call attention to Carnaby that it is definitely shaping up that there will be a series of pits, I think, ultimately to be drilled out on this project, including their Nil Desperandum and Lady Fanny discoveries, all part of the same cluster here. So just wanted to flag them up here.
Hey, that's 8% series. Whereabouts is the Mount Isa district?
Mount Isa district, northwest Queensland.
Northwest Queensland, right.
Yep.
So Queensland is the place to be at the moment, isn't it? That's where, Tectonic isn't northwest. That's more sort of
East Coast, yeah.
Mid-East, yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But anyway, place to be. Very good.
The other
and
one,
5%. No, before you go on, 5%. So 8% copper. That's sort of Cornish type levels. Fantastic.
That's
Love it.
Really fantastic. Yeah.
Go on. I'll let you carry on, Paul. Sorry.
The other story: ASX listed the Spanish tungsten explorer Rafaela Resources. They're pivoting now to make the recent Horton Lake nickel property they just acquired a few weeks ago in Quebec to be their primary project, as they've put out a updated resource estimate on it. This James Bay area property was an Inco property about over 30 years ago. Has 29 million tons, grading 1% nickel equivalent, and it appears that it can ultimately, given the modeling I've seen in the press release, ultimately have both an open pit and an underground component. But I think the key parts around this story, a lot like some of these other stories you see in junior explorers like Q Mines and so forth. In Rafaela's case, the Horton Lake property it has nickel sulfides, but they were never assayed. That historic drilling was never assayed for palladium, and there is in the more recent geochemical work a clear affinity of palladium to the nickel mineralization out there. And there is also copper and cobalt byproducts. And the other thing about the economics around the deposit is that the gold assays that they had run historically had been averaged across the entire mineralization footprint. But the evidence, again, in modern geochemistry is that the gold also is concentrated more so with the nickel mineralization. The other factor is just like we see up here in the BC area of the Golden Triangle, the introduction of infrastructure, roads, hydroelectric power, and power lines up in that area, BC, completely transformed the exploration potential. And that's the case also here in the James Bay region, because this deposit, which used to be fly-in only, is now just 10 kilometers off a highway, and it hit within 18 kilometers of hydroelectric power. So looking really good for Rafaela and Rafaela shareholders, because their share momentum has also reversed and moving higher from the announcement of the acquisition.
What will they do? Will they get rid of their Spanish projects, you think?
I don't think so. I don't think they have that plan initially here, but they'll have to see how, as their ongoing funding requirements go, just how much money that they can devote to the two different centers of activity at this point. But nickel definitely the focus on their mind as far as management, and that's what investors obviously want to see too.
Well, I still like tungsten, as you know. So,
and the tungsten assets in Spain are pretty good ones.
Anyway, okay. Anything else, Paul? I've been rabbiting on a bit. So unless you've got something urgent, let's call it a day.
Okay, very good. We'll see.
Well, unless you've got something urgent, have you?
Well, I was going to mention the apology letter that Firefinch chairman put out to shareholders today, because the management hadn't been able to refinance the Morella mine operation, and have decided not to put shareholders at further risk on it. So they will be looking to find a buyer for the mine, and for Firefinch shareholders, it's all about protecting their investment now in the lithium spinoff in Mali, Leo Lithium.
It's quite an interesting, isn't it, to get an apology letter like that. Well done, actually. I think where you've gone wrong to own up is not bad. They are cutting costs dramatically. They've even had to, I think, lay off the CFO in Perth, haven't they?
Yes, they had. That was also separately announced as well.
Yeah. All right. Very good, Paul. Thank you very much. And we'll catch up again tomorrow.
Very good. Thanks.